some time out of your day today to go through this webinar with us. And we've got a pretty large group, so I'm going to wait just a couple, maybe 2 minutes at the most, not much longer than that, because I want to make sure we have time to get through all of the material, along with letting you be able to ask questions at the end. And we are recording this, so I just wanted to let everyone know that afterwards, everybody will get a copy of the recording. If for some reason you have to pop off or something like that, you'll definitely get the recording that you can listen to or share with other colleagues within your company at that afterwards. Usually it takes a little bit of time for the GoToWebinar to process the recording. So typically by tomorrow morning, we should be able to get those emails out to you. And we also send them, if you're ever in a situation, again, where you can't attend a webinar, go ahead and register just in case your schedule changes, but we always send the link to the recorded webinars, especially to people who were unable to attend. So that way you can still get the information. So I see people popping on here as I speak. So again, just gonna give them a couple of more minutes to make sure they don't miss anything. So as you may or may not have realized today, because we do have such a large group, and most of the time we do these when we're in webinars, just because it does make it a little bit easier to manage the noise. If your office is like ours, we get people that are coming in and out and asking questions, and they don't realize you're on a webinar, and the background noise, or somebody's just listening from their car because they're traveling, which we love. But a lot of background noise can make it pretty distracting for everybody else. So we put you in listen only mode. What I want to draw your attention to due to that is some housekeeping instructions. So on your right-hand side, when you logged into GoToWebinar, you probably should, hopefully you will see basically a screen to your right that's laying on top of our screen that shows information like chat area, questions, that type of thing. Hopefully you all can see that. And if anybody, I'm going to send a quick chat out right now to the whole group just to make sure that everybody can hear me. That way, hopefully somebody sees the chat, and if they can't hear me, they'll let me know. But hopefully everything is functioning as designed, which I love it when all of that happens. Anyway, so the chat area is certainly for me to communicate to all of you, but there is a very specific place for questions, and what I like about the question area is that it also records it, so that afterwards, what also will happen along with receiving a recording of the webinar, any question that was asked during the webinar, whether we get to answer it online in person before our time ends, or even if it's a question that we didn't get to, all questions will be listed out and answers given in writing, and that will be sent along with the email that contains the link to the webinar. So again, you'll have all of that information at your fingertips, especially if you want to share this information with colleagues internally. So feel free, because we are on mute. You don't have to hold your questions until the end. If you're like me, it could be a fleeting thought, and by 40 minutes from now, you'll have no clue as to what your question was. So please type your questions as we go, and we will answer them at the end. We'll cover as many as we can at the end. But again, anything that's we don't have time for, we'll make sure are answered in that full list of questions and answers. So let's get started. So this is version 3.99. We're going to go through the webinar. We're going to cover the areas that we have touched in this release. So one is our CAPA module called Corrective Action, and we have a mixed group here today. Lots of customers who already have our Corrective Action module and use it maybe every single day, maybe use it a little bit, maybe have gotten it but haven't started using it yet, kind of across the board. And we certainly have people on the call today who have not purchased our corrective action module. Today is going to be pretty high level on the changes that we have made, but hopefully there's some things that we talk about that will spark your interest to have additional conversations. My guess is we're going to schedule another webinar in the near future to focus very directly on only the corrective action module and how you can take a nonconformance that you find in your company and how it flows through our corrective action module and how that might benefit your company if you have challenges with that. Today is going to be brief on that, but we'll answer as many questions as we can as we go through it. Another area that we have touched in this release is we have rewritten all of our reports in new technology that's available, and we have a very specific suite report module. And this is available, as are all of these changes. Version 3.99, all of your companies, as long as you are a current customer, and what that means is that you have a current technical support agreement. So included in your technical support agreement that your company pays for every year, you receive any upgrades that we release during that year time frame. So 3.99 would be included in this. So all of the things that we discussed today are available as part of your technical support agreement. So I just wanted to make sure that you were aware of that. So new reports module, we'll get into that. And we've also made some changes to Document Manager, some new ways to search for things that we think will make it a little bit easier for everybody. So we're going to the next screen. So we're going to cover this, like I said, probably about 30 to 40 minutes. Oh, and a couple other things, my fault. Install panel, it is going to look a little bit different. Some things there that we're going to touch on, and then, like I said, questions and answers at the end of the session. So I don't want to spend any more time with me talking. I'm going to turn it over to a couple of my colleagues. We have Megan Anderson on the phone with us today, who's going to take us through corrective action, and Brad Anderson, who's then going to take us through the new reports module, document manager updates, and the install panel. Again, don't hesitate to ask your questions as we go through, and I will be back towards the end of the session in about 30, 35 minutes to answer those questions. Megan, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Hope you're all having a great Tuesday so far. The largest changes that come to version 3.99 are within corrective action. Hence, we decided to make it front and center of this webinar. There are so many changes in addition to our corrective action module that I decided to structure this section in terms of using the module itself, from creating a nonconformance to the end where you would view the audit log of everything that the nonconformance went through. We will begin at the nonconformance wizard, which you can access from majority of our products. We gave it a little facelift. New changes can be seen from the first step forward, such as how any nonconformances made now require a label and a description before you move to the next phases of the wizard. The actual next button will not be enabled until there is something in both text fields. It will be grayed out until text is in both of these fields. On the first screen of the wizard, you are now able to select the facility that the nonconformance originates from. This list is generated from the facilities pool and desktop. If the facility you see is not listed for you, you can add it there on the spot, and it will add itself to the nonconformance and to the pool. This will be used as an index for the NC CAR PAR. And by NC CAR PAR, I mean what could be a nonconformance, a corrective action request, or a preventive action request. Then on the next stage of the wizard, when you add in the originator, the location, the date found, etc., you are now able to add in multiple traceability entries just by separating each entry in the text field with a semicolon. This text field also holds a larger character limit than it used to. One of the biggest changes that is now available is the optional ability to bypass the gatekeeper and instead being able to directly assign to a final approval authority or an owner. This functionality could be used for companies that have a really short time to prepare an initial response to a reported nonconformance. This bypassing is possible by adding your user to the Corrective Action Team, which is a new user group in Desktop. So you would have to go edit your user and make sure they are a part of this team, or else the functionality cannot happen. There are drop-downs listed for users that could be the final approval authority and the owner, and then you pick the due date. If you are not part of the Corrective Action Team user group, then nothing will be different in this step of the wizard from the previous version. After the nonconformance is created, it opens the work area for that nonconformance. From here, you are still able to edit the label and description, unlike previously where it was set into stone. Also, there are new options such as making print access enabled for that specific nonconformance rather than every nonconformance. Or if you just want the team members for that NC car par to be able to print it, you can go to the Team tab and there is a print access option specifically for them. Also, related non-evidence documents can now be registered on the spot and associated to that nonconformance corrective action request or preventive action request. Lesser changes involve the windows themselves. You can automatically resize them to whatever size you wish. And all window sliders, active tabs, and positions are saved between sessions of use. In versions past, only the To-Do tab opened at the beginning, and you would have to toggle the history and the My Document tabs on and off to see their contents. But now, Corrective Action opens all three tabs, and Corrective Action remembers what tabs were and were not open when you were working in your workspace. Lastly, you can access the advanced properties of any NC car par from the File menu in Corrective Action, just like how you view the advanced properties in our other modules. It shows all the same information as the advanced properties show for documents and other modules. This is just a new added layer of consistency in our products. We have added a lot of functionality in terms of being able to delegate work to other team members during any stage of the CAPA process, especially to the master user. As long as the NC car par is open, the master user may delegate it to a different owner or final approval authority using the My Documents tab during any work phase. Therefore, the master user has the ability to view all open NC car pars. And if a gatekeeper needs to be updated for whatever reason, such as an employee being promoted or being gone for an extended period of time or something similar, the master has the power to update the gatekeeper to match new assignments. Owners and final approval authorities also have the power to delegate NC car pars to another team member in any of their work phases, so they aren't left out of this delegating uplisting either. For all NC car pars, the owner and final approval authority is always on display, as well as the responsible member for that respective phase. The owner is denoted by an asterisk, the final approval authority by an exclamation point, and the current responsible member is highlighted with a little box. Due dates are also now displayed and published, and that can be modified for each NC car par by the final approval authority. Lastly, everyone can view the current gatekeeper assignments by going to the administration menu and selecting the gatekeepers option, which will open the dialog. It was shown, but then I updated the slide. But as said earlier, the master is the only user who can change the gatekeeper assignments. The aspect of publishing has changed drastically in this new version of Corrective Action. Publishing to different formats is no longer required, but you can still choose a default format if you wish. You can set the default format to Standard, 7D, 8D, or East-West 8D. We have a new Corrective Action viewer in order to view any NC car pars from desktop. This new viewer also allows the user to choose which format, the same formats as previously stated, Standard 7D, 8D, or East-West 8D, to display the document. Other things that can be included in the standard published format include recommended actions as well as paper signatures. This can be set for each specific car and par on the original NC or par information page. This snapshot is from the bottom of the workspace. There are checkboxes next to these to show if these are set as default to be enabled in the system preferences. This example shows the recommended actions being set on as a default, but not the paper signatures. Speaking of system preferences, here we are on their own slide. The system preferences can be set by any user with master privileges, which can be given in desktop. The default for all of these preferences when you first install is off, hence why the screenshot has all blank checkboxes. Note some new preferences that you can enable and disable, such as fast tracking and deleting cars. This determines whether you want all of your NC car pars to not be fast tracked, or if you want to make sure that you cannot delete any cars at all across the board. You can set print access here for all NC car pars, or like on the previous slide, you can set it document by document. For those that do not wish to have a revision history for their NC car pars, they can leave the checkbox alone, but if they wish to set it per document, they can set the revision history in the new advanced properties in the file menu that we had discussed earlier. And instead of worrying about importing and updating your logo for every NC car par, checking the Use Logo for New NCs and PARs box will use the same logo for all NC car pars made. Preferences like these will help save time and increase efficiency, which is what we aim to help you achieve. We have made some new binders for you to implement. In order to more easily find your nonconformances, cars, and pars, these handful of binders are now here to help you find what you need. They act just like any binder in our system. Apply the filter, the results will show, and you can open and view your NC car pars just like any other document. These binders are available to all users with desktop. In this new version of Corrective Action, you are now able to enable an audit log via the Corrective Action System preferences. In order to view this log, an audit log can be enabled. This new audit log is able to track over 50 events during the lifetime of any nonconformance corrective action request or preventive action request. In order to view this audit log, you would need to use our newest module, Suite Reports, and my colleague Brad here is going to discuss its features for you.
Well, thank you, Megan. The Suite Reports is a new module that's included in your suite now as part of your annual maintenance agreement. It consolidates reports from across the majority of our installed module, and it gives all desktop users access to the reports in the installed module. This new module is launched from either the desktop modules page, from any applicable module, or from the Windows Start menu, the Waypoint Global Suite Program Group. This module includes many enhancements in the usability of creating reports, including multi-select and find functionality when selecting your report parameters. The reports from Audit Manager, Corrective Action, Desktop, Folio Manager, Policy Manager, or Policy Writer, Procedure Writer, Instruction Writer, Quality Planner, and Training Manager have now been consolidated into this one module. We've even created a new user guide that's been added to the updated documentation library, and it includes a listing and description of the 203 reports that are now available in Suite Reports, providing you have all of the impacted modules. As you can see, we've included several new reports in the module listed. And we all know that reports and data from reports is what helps drive improvement in any organization, daring enough to take a good hard look at themselves to see where improvement is possible. Dare to be that kind of organization. In Document Manager, for our customers that are more document number oriented, there are two items that will be very good news. The Open Document dialog and the related workspace now lists both the document title and the document number when looking in the results of a binder. And Document Manager now has an added new search button in the Open Document dialog and on the related documents page. The search functions much like the quick search feature in desktop, including searching by document number. Install Panel has replaced the old Power Panel. And for all of you systems administrators out there, this new version supports multi-select installations and update all features. So you don't have to wait for the module for each module to install before you select another one. You can just highlight all of the ones for a workstation and let it roll. We've also included some additional helpful references and resources. As mentioned earlier, the documentation library has been updated, so the latest revision contains all of the changes that we've covered and more. This includes new guides for the corrective action and suite reports, as well as all of the other modules that have been impacted by this release. It even includes revised installation and upgrade documentation for the latest server and workstation operating systems. It still resides in the binder titled Waypoint Global Product Guides, as it has for many years. We do have some frequently asked questions that have already been presented to us here. What do you need to do in order to bypass the gatekeeper? Well, as Megan mentioned, you need to make sure that your users are in the corrective action team user group in desktop before that option will be available to them. We've also had the question of what does it mean to fast track a nonconformance? Fast tracking a nonconformance is typically used when either you're dealing with a nonconformance that is not being handled internally, like you're sending something to a supplier for them to fill out, and it's just become a recording tool. Or if you only have one license of the module and you're the lone corrective action ranger, then you're the one that's doing all of the recording of the work. So it doesn't necessarily make sense to route it to the final approval authority for their approval of your recommended actions suggestions if you're the only one that's going to provide the approval. You probably can approve your own actions if you think they're sufficient. And the last, within the binders, Megan mentioned that we're adding several new binders. We've also added some additional filtering rows to those so that you can have more selections available. But they are going to be added automatically to your system, and they will be available in your list of binders after you upgrade to 3.99, and they'll be available to all desktop users. So are there any other questions? I'm sure Carrie has probably been monitoring this for us.
I have. We have gotten some questions while you all have been talking. Thank you so much. One that I'd like to pose to all of you, we're going to do this a little bit backwards. So for those of you that maybe, again, there are a lot of things that have changed, and we tried to hit the highlights of what would be most important and the ones that have come probably the most frequently from our customer base. Just about everything in our upgrades typically are from customer requests, just brainstorming with customers. We come up with a few great ideas ourselves, but really we rely on all of you. So for those of you who have submitted suggestions and complaints, even if you want, please keep doing that. That's what makes us better. That's what brings more functionality to the tool that not only hopefully helps your company and your efficiency in your job, but also will help other customers and other companies who are looking at our software and our solutions. So I just want to encourage you. We are open ears. We want to hear from you, and please continue to do that. So my question to all of you, and please go ahead and respond. I'm going to get back to watching the queue here in just a second, but I would really like it if you would let me know if you would be interested in another webinar, probably about 45 minutes to an hour. We really try to keep them within that time frame that would focus solely on corrective action. Taking you through a nonconformance all the way to the end, and maybe with a little bit of our audit manager. Not meant to be a full-blown training, but meant to, again, give you a little bit more detail than what we did today. Functionality that's been there and is there was there even before this release, but then also to focus even more on the new one. So if you'll just type a quick yes, I'll get that, and we can schedule that hopefully in the near future. So let's get to some questions. So as for current open corrective actions in the system, will these cars be converted to the new system, or will the new enhancements only be available for cars going forward? Dwight, would you mind jumping in? Dwight Funk is also with us, everyone. Would you be willing to jump in and take that question?
Sure. Any open corrective action that you open after you do your upgrade will automatically be converted to have the new features. If you have any closed ones, when you view those corrective actions, they'll look like they're old until you decide to open them up in corrective action. They'll look new, and since they're closed, they won't really get republished. But if you reopen them, they'll automatically get converted as well. So the answer is yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Another one, is there a way to attach supporting documentation to cars? Brad?
And the answer to that question is also yes. On the other documents tab, you now have the ability to, as you're working on those cars, you can register documents directly from there, so you don't have to bring them in through Document Manager or use a template from QuickReg and Template Admin in order to bring supporting documents into the system. You can register from right on that tab now. I hope that was the question.
Yes, thank you. Oh, here's a great one. In printing options, Brad, maybe you could explain this a little bit in more detail. What are 7D, 8D, and EW8D? East-West, I believe. What that stands for?
Okay, the 7D, 8D, and East-West 8D, EW8D is short for East-West, which is in a landscape format. The 7D and 8D formats are industry standard problem-solving formats that are specific to different industries, or at least they used to be much more in the past. Now that there's been so much transition in staff among the different industries, we're seeing a lot of bleed over between different industries that we didn't used to see. Particularly like the East-West 8D used to be very popular for Ford powertrain. They were the only ones really major customer in the industry, really in the marketplace, that really forced the East-West 8D on their suppliers. But now that people have moved on from Ford that like that format, now we're seeing some requests from even medical device and aerospace organizations as well, as the engineers that had to live with that style of format have moved into other organizations in different industries. The 7D is very similar to the 8D. The 8D has the added step to congratulate the team after the corrective action has been completed and has been verified as being effective. The last step in the process is to congratulate the team. Other than that, the 7D and the 8D is very similar.
Perfect, thank you. And we can certainly, maybe we can provide what might be helpful when we send out the link. We can provide a sample of those. So that might help it also when somebody can see it actually laid out. So I'll make a note of that. This is an interesting question. Sounds like something I would want to know. Is there any way to stop a user from being able to change the password for master? Someone wants to wreak havoc.
The only people that can change the password for the master account are people that have the user privilege. The people that come in for training, I always encourage them to keep the privileges very close to their vest particularly the user and user group privileges, because those are ones that can change privileges in people's user and user group. So if you want to restrict who can change passwords, be very, very careful about who has the ability to modify users or user groups. And that will, in itself, dramatically reduce the number of people that can alter that password. I find in a lot of cases, people that are trying to save time, they're more than likely just going to give everybody the master privilege in order to reduce the amount of time they spend on administrating users. And that is a shortcut to a disaster, in my opinion, because then you have effectively given everybody the ability to modify whatever they want, because it also gives them access to all the documents as well. So I do not encourage just the blanket assignment of master privilege to every user just to make it easier on the administrator, because it does exactly the opposite. Hopefully I didn't go too far off base there.
No, I think you're fine. And I've actually offered that we can give this person a call and run through it to kind of see who's got what type of access and things like that. But now I understand why I don't ever get master privileges anywhere. I see how you all are here internally. Mm-hmm. So anyways, that's okay. I'm not going to take it personally. Anyways, well, I can tell you, everyone, thank you so much for responding to my question about if you would be interested in a more detailed webinar specifically about corrective action. I can tell by the response that I've gotten that that is indeed in order, even if just for this group. Certainly we'll open it up to anybody that wants to participate, but I appreciate you responding to me to my question, because that just does help me kind of start to plan some more of these. And we're going to begin, just so you all know, begin highlighting a module, hopefully like one a month. What I have found is at the beginning, when we put that spider chart up, we find that a lot of customers who have been with us for years and years and years might not know some of the other pieces that we do. Might not matter because maybe those areas aren't a challenge for you, but if they are, typically what we have found is that when people find they can get one system that ties everything together, that takes advantage of all of that admin work that you've already set up over the years, so you don't have to set it up again, that just seems to really make people excited, because usually it's the admin work of setting up a new system that can be very tedious and just time that a lot of times we don't have. So, so we're going to start highlighting some of our additional modules as we go out of the summer into the fall. I can't even believe I just said those words. But anyways, thank you for joining us today. Again, there's some of you that I've responded with to your questions, not that I don't want to answer them, it's just I don't feel that we have enough information, and rather than making you type and basically text back and forth with me, I've sent you a message that will give you a call directly, so that way we can answer the question in more detail, make sure we are on the same page as you, and I will go ahead and make sure that we include those questions and those more thorough answers for the group also. So I want to make sure that nobody misses out on the questions just because I don't maybe completely understand the question. So anything else as we're kind of wrapping up? This was a kind of a short and sweet, to the point webinar. Again, I know everybody has a lot of things on their plate, so hopefully it was helpful enough to give you a little bit of insight. We'll get another webinar scheduled for corrective action. Please know we are always here. At any point, if you're digging into you get upgraded and you're digging into corrective action, tomorrow, you're already upgraded and you're digging it tomorrow and something looks different, or you're not sure where to go, or you heard us talk about a feature that you can't find, let us know. You can get a hold of us at support@waypointglobal.com. You can also get a hold of us by phone, and our toll number is I think Brad just flipped up that screen, so I don't have to read it and act like I remember all of the numbers. But there we go. So please don't hesitate to give us a call. Again, our assistance through technical support is available to you through your technical support agreement that your company has every year. So please use us. That's what we're here for. Just a couple of other things. Someone did just send a question. When is the enhancement available? 3.99 has been released. It is available on our website, so it can be downloaded. Most of you, or I'm pretty sure most of you yourselves, or even someone in your company, IT or an IT consultant, does have a login and password for our website, which gets you to our distribution center. This is where you can download the latest version of the suite. You can download the latest version of the documentation library. And if you use our desktop web access had some new viewer changes made to it. You can download the latest version of desktop web access. If you don't have desktop web access and you'd like to know more about it, shoot me an email. We'll definitely get that information to you. It's a great way to start to push out your document distribution without installing a desktop license right on everybody's computer. So all they need is a browser and Adobe Reader. So IT folks typically really like it because they don't have to install software. Anyways, so that is available on our website, and it is available now. If you or your IT staff need assistance getting upgraded, again, shoot us an email. We usually try to schedule those just because it's easier. You get somebody on the phone that'll take you from A to Z. Most of our customers are on a version that it doesn't require a lot of extra work, so we'll take you straight from whatever version you're on all the way to the latest one without having to pit stop at the ones maybe you've missed over the years. So let us know if you need our assistance. And alrighty, and again, the recording, as soon as it's ready to go, probably tomorrow, you should see an email from me or my colleague Braden Hammond sending you a link along with these questions and the answers to them. Everyone, I appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us, and look forward to some more webinars in the near future. And at any time, any questions, please don't hesitate to get a hold of us through technical support or contact me directly. We're here to assist you, and we very much appreciate your business. And thank you for helping make us better, which in turn we hope makes you better also. So I believe that concludes everything today. Dwight, Megan, Brad, thank you for preparing the presentation for us today and delivering it. I appreciate it. And everyone have a great afternoon, and we'll talk to you soon.